So in this activity, we're going to be making this rocker arm for a bicycle. You can see it goes kind of in this part of the bicycle, kind of hard to tell what it is. But it's got a unique shape. It's got a lot of symmetry to it. Some holes that there's probably some bolts or something that are going to fit inside here because it's got a counter bore, another counter bore here, and a through hole, and then also a hole down the middle. So we're going to start out with some of the geometry and then talk about how to use the sketches to create all the different parts here. So in the first part, we're going to open up what they have. They've created the sketches, and we're going to use those sketches to make the solids. So the data panel, and this time we're going to be using basic training, but we're going to go to modeling, and we're going to find the rocker arm sketch, which is this one right here. And let's close that and then file save as, we'll call it rocker arm. All right, and so the first thing we're going to do is extrude that profile, leaving these three holes inside it. So we'll make sure that these three holes are the only ones that we haven't selected in there. So we'll extrude, choose these profiles, and then also go in and grab this one as well. Now, because we have a lot of symmetry and they've made this part starting from the center of it, we're not going to go in one direction. We're going to change one side to two sides. And then because they've already made a sketch with these lines sticking out the sides that tell us how far we want it to go in both directions, instead of distance, we'll choose to object and we'll go to this object. You can see the left side. Come down to side number 2, we'll change distance to object, and then we'll go over to this side over here. And you can see the original sketch goes right down the middle. And it's going to have those three holes that we're talking about. So there's the first step for this part. All right, and then the next thing we want to do when we use that sketch, sketches are turned on, but if you expand sketches, those two sketches are now turned off. They were consumed, but we want to turn them back on. We want to turn visibility back on because we're going to use them again for some other parts. So we're going to make the rear rocker arm holes. And so the first thing we're going to do is extrude that circular profile on the inside to join, to fill in the hole, right? So we'll click extrude. Now, if it's difficult to see, to get a hold of, that's the profile we want. Remember, you can always turn off the body. You can select it, and then you can turn it back on to see what things are going to look like. This time we're going to extrude and we're going to use symmetric. We want it to go the same distance both ways, 20 millimeters. So instead of one side or two sides, we'll choose symmetric. This is going to go, this is a half length. So when I choose 20, it'll go 20 in one direction, also 20 in the opposite direction. And it's selected as a join. You can see here that it's filling in the hole. We'll click OK. And now we're going to make a 10 millimeter diameter circular profile for the counter bore. So we'll make a new sketch. Let's see, they want us to start a new circular profile on sketch number 1, edit that sketch, and then we're going to add some more geometry to that. Right, so we'll go to sketch 1, right click, edit sketch, and we're going to make another circle. there. And this one, we want it to have 10 for its diameter. We'll finish that sketch. Now we've got this inside hole here. Now this says to project that circle onto the outer face of the rocker arm and then extrude it as a cut feature. We could do that. We could create a sketch out here. We could project it out here and do a cut. Or we could just do an extrude and we could choose this. We could go two sides and go all that direction. We can go all in that direction. And it's a cut. And so you can see we have our counterbore that goes all the way through the part. All right, and now we're going to modify some things on the far side. So for this one, we're going to click on sketch number 1 and edit that sketch again. Edit sketch. We're going to make a center circle with a diameter of 24 over here. So center circle 24. We'll finish that sketch. You can see our new circle on the inside here. This time we are going to project onto the outside because we're just kind of showing multiple ways to make the same kind of part. So we're going to right click in the outer face and click sketch project. So we'll come out here to the outer face, we'll right click and we'll create a sketch and then project and we'll find there's that circle. Finish that sketch and now you can see we have that out here on the outside. We're going to extrude it as a cut 10 millimeters into the part. So we'll extrude. We can either drag it in or we can type -10 and that knows it goes the opposite of which way the arrow was going at first. We'll click OK. So there's the counterbore here. All right, what we don't have is that same counterbore on the far side. So we're going to make that one with a mirror. And so inside your modify tools here, if you don't have it expanded, it's harder to see it. Sorry, in your create tools here is mirror. And so the pattern type is going to be features. Right? So the feature that we want is this feature. And the mirror plane is going to be the origin plane that we started with. And you can see it's kind of showing you what it's going to look like over here. And so if we click OK, you can see it cut that same thing out of the other side. We've done some pretty good stuff, so I'm going to save it because that's quite a few steps we've gone through. All right, and now we're going to create a slot and then add some fillets. So we're going to use press pull to make the slot through the middle of this part. So here's press pull. This is what we want to press pull, and if we drag it up, you can see that it looks like it's cutting through the part. I'm going to change distance to all. It goes all the way through. So that looks pretty cool. We can see how everything's looking. And then finally, we want to fillet these two inside parts here. And we want to fillet them 5 millimeters. So we'll click on fillet. We want to fillet that side and that one, both 5. You can see what that curve does to this part. Oh, looks like it got the face here. The face was not what I wanted. So I'm going to try that again. Make sure I get just one edge and not the face, but just that edge. You can see it says 2 edges. When I type in a 5, that's what I want it to look like. So I'll click OK. Now I'm going to turn the 2 sketches off so I can see what the part looks like. All right. And I'm going to save it again because that's the part. The other thing they want us to look at though is if you want to make changes to any of these features, you can make them pretty easy. If you go into Modify and you look at Change Parameters, it brings up this window. Our rocker arm, it's on version 3 because I've saved a few times. All of the dimensions are inside these parts. So fillet number 2, here's the radius. I could change this to a different number. I could go to the different features and here I had a distance of -10. I could change how deep that was cut. You could even go into Sketch 1 that had a lot of different dimensions. You can rename these if you want to know like what they are, or you can change the numbers. And you can change a lot of features really quickly just by using those parameters.